That's right, people, it's time for another episode of Hey Did You Notice? And this time we're not actually travelling that far from last time's, because instead of looking at a Disney Pixar film, we're just looking at a Disney film. So, hey, did you notice that the Muppet movie's 3-act structure reflects the relevance of the Muppets within pop culture at the time of its release? Okay, so a little explanation might be needed here for people who don't know what a 3-act structure is. A 3-act structure is how the plot of a film is generally laid out. The first act sets up the world and the main characters. The second act is how the world changes for the characters inside it and makes up most of the movie. And the third act is how everything comes together and ends, also known as the climax. Now on to what I'm supposed to be talking about. In the first act, it's made clear that the Muppets have been all but forgotten, having not been on TV for some time. And in the real world, that's quite true. The Muppets hadn't been on TV, or in their own series at least, or in any of their own movies, for 11 years. So people probably either fondly remembered them or didn't remember them at all. Moving on to the build-up of the show, it becomes obvious that they've lost a lot of their pulling power from the old days as well. And even their name brings little weight, except for those who might remember them.
I remember you guys from when I was a kid. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to shoot straight. You guys aren't famous anymore.
Whoa. Yeesh. I wish she'd shot a little more curvy.
And in the real world, this then equates to the hype that gets produced as a movie is being released. Through posters, trailers, YouTube videos of old clips of the series, cast interviews, behind-the-scenes stuff, all of that stuff that makes us really hyped up for a movie when it comes out. And then sometimes hilariously backfires if the movie is not as good. Then finally, in Act 3, we have the huge crowd of people swarming outside the theatre, instead of coming in and giving them the money they need. Which doesn't really make much sense when you think about it in a logical context. But then again, if I think about it in a logical context, then I can't make my point, so let's not question it. Which in the real world perfectly equates to how people saw the movie, that it allowed them to warmly re-welcome the Muppets into their lives and into our popular culture. Though I imagine that somebody on IMDb hated the film for some ridiculous and idiotic reason, like the film is rejecting capitalism or something. Only for them to do it all over again in a sequel that was merely a shadow of this one. So I realised that this might take a little bit more belief because of the rather opinionated level of interpretation that this requires. But everyone does have their own opinions and interpretations, and I'm sure they'll apply it to the movie how they want to. But as for me, I just find this interesting and thought I'd share it with you once again. So for now, I've been Simon, this has been Hey Did You Notice, and I'll see you next time.